Before and after. Yeah, it's just helping take out this kind of greeny blue tint. If I showed you this image, you might look at this and say, well, that's black. It looks black, but it's very slightly teal, and you can see it in the waveform. Like, look at it. This is where these DCTLs and where your scopes come in useful, because your eyes will lie to you. All right, no snappy intro. Let's just get straight into color grading. So we're going to be trying to create a very well balanced and sort of clean look for this shot, and that's going to mean our skin tones are nailed. Our black points should be black, so our deepest shadow should be pure black, and our highlights should be close to white. If you want to go for a warmer or a cooler look, you can do that, but I think this is a good grade to learn if you want to work on commercials, or just there's a lot of uses for a very clean and balanced look, and you can also use this as a template to build other looks. So let's first of all start off with our CSTs. So the CSTs I'm going to have up here, and I'm working in Davinci wide gamut, and we're going from Sony S-Log3 to Davinci wide gamut and then out to Rec 709 gamma 2.4. I'm going to pull in a DCTL, and this is from Qazi's toolkit. Now, I'm using the demo version, which is free. I think it's a fantastic tool to use, and I'd highly recommend you guys using it as well. So we're going to be using Skin Hue Indicator and Highlight Neutrals. So the Skin Hue Indicator, and it's obviously because it's free, you're going to have this text over it, but that's fine. Essentially what it's going to show is what is the color of her skin. Is it too red, is it too green, or is it okay? And we're going to adjust this in linear gamma. I'm going to go to linear, and then I'm going to kill the luma mix, and we're just going to be using the gain. And this is basically like, it's like using offset, but it's just a more accurate way to shift your entire image. So I'm just going to start pulling this and moving it around and seeing where we want to go. So I'm going to disable this. Let's see. And I want to keep this fairly neutral. So if I look at the vector scope, we'll get a better idea of what we're doing. So I can see that a lot of it is very orange. So we're just going to start pulling it towards the blue. I'm going to go on our DCTL, and you can see that her skin is a little bit too red. So I'm just going to subtract a tiny bit of red, and that will balance her out a little bit more. So you can see how far we've come already. We've taken a lot of this sort of orangey hue out, and it looks a little bit more blue. Like, we've added some blue here, but we're gonna fix that later. And actually what I might do is I might just pull this back so we sort of split the difference, and I think I'm quite happy with that. Okay, so now I'm going to use the waveform to do balance and contrast, and we can use another function of the DCTL, which is the middle gray mark. So if you click mid gray, and it will create a line which basically represents your 18% gray, and you can create a marker using the qualifier. So if you click the qualifier, you create a mark on your curve. Now we can add contrast. I'm gonna gang the curves together. I'm gonna add contrast, but keeping middle gray in the same spot. So we can just create a very simple contrast curve, and if I disable this, we can see what we're doing. It's lovely to have a gentle roll off on your highlights, but if you look what happens if I bring the highlights down too far. So if I start bringing them down, can you see that this is, we're just sort of losing a lot of information here, and it doesn't make sense that there's a very, very bright prominent circle and then everything else is just gray around it. So you want to have a little bit more of a feathering, so you can see how much of this feathering we just took away, and it just looks like we're crushing this too much. So I'm gonna bring this back up to where it was, more or less. So before and after, and maybe we can bring our shadows down a bit, and then this point around mid gray is going to be representing more or less where her skin is, and we can use false color to look at where her skin is sitting. And false color is a good representation. It's a good way to show you where your skin should sit in terms of luminance values. So I like to keep skin just above mid-gray, so I think this is fine. Obviously, she's being blasted with a light that's on the other side of the camera, so this side of her face should be quite dark in comparison, but I think this is fine, so I'm going to leave this as is. Okay, so we've done our contrast, and that's already making a massive difference. And now we want to make sure this is super clean. Usually I use Dehancer, but because that's a paid plugin, I'm just going to do it with the tools that you can use in Resolve. If you do want to purchase Dehancer, there's a link in the description that will get you 10% off. But otherwise, I want to keep it simple for you guys, so we're just going to be using our curves. So I'm going to go in the DCTL, and we're going to activate our skin hue indicator, and we want to make sure that her skin doesn't veer too much to the green or the red. So the skin is looking great. Okay, that's fine. Okay, cool. Now let's look at highlight neutrals, and this is going to highlight things below 5% saturation. So anything that's black or white will appear this kind of browny golden color. So if I go in here and I kill the saturation, the whole image will just go brown, and that's because that's what below 5% saturation looks like. So what we're going to do is we are going to want to make this more black. So I can start by going in my sat versus sat, clicking a point here, and then just dragging this down. And this is essentially making our least saturated points even less saturated. So let's have a look at before and after. So maybe we're going a little bit too heavy because I can see that it's maybe a bit too harsh. So we're going to bring this up a little bit. And if I go in the vector scope, we'll be able to see the difference. So we're just kind of crushing everything a little bit. But we want to get rid of this kind of blue tint here. So, and obviously, if you wanted to create like a split tone, then you can do that. But I want to keep this very clean. So I'm going to use the Chroma Warp, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. And we're going to click, yeah, we're going to click here. And we're going to just drag this towards white a little bit. And I'm keeping an eye on my vector scope. And we can decrease or increase the chroma range. So I'm going to leave that like that. I'm just going to look at before and after. And let me go full screen. So this is before and after. Before and after. And can you see all of this sort of greeny blue tint on her skin? We're now completely getting rid of. And I wonder what this will look like if we go in our skin hue indicator. So it's telling us that we've added a lot more red into her skin. So what I might do is go into the Chroma Warp and just pull the range down a little bit. And let's see this before and after. Yeah, it's just helping take out this kind of greeny blue tint, which I really like. I like that it's been taken out, that's what I mean. So let's have a look at before and after. So this is before and this is after. And we've created this super nice, very clean and balanced image from what we had at the start, which was a lot more orange. And I wanted to darken all of these surrounding areas. So that's what we've done. And we've used the skin hue indicator to make sure that the skin isn't too orange or red or green or whatever. We've used the mid-gray point to lock in our contrast, and we've used false color to make sure that her skin isn't too bright and isn't too dark. So a lot of these tools are insanely useful, and the highlight neutrals to see where our saturation is sitting. If I just brought this over a little bit, if I showed you this image, you might look at this and say, well, that's black. It looks black to me. But if we go in the DCTL, you can see that it's actually not black. It's very slightly teal, and you can see it in the waveform. Like, look at it. It's entirely teal, but this is where these DCTLs and where your scopes come in useful, because your eyes will lie to you, right? Whereas the scopes are not going to lie, and they're going to tell you objectively what's going on. So this is how you get a super clean look using these free tools. I hope that you guys enjoyed and found this useful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and I will see you very soon.